Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and as many of you might know, I'm originally from Winnipeg, Canada. It's central Canada, above North Dakota, above Montana, above Minnesota, that area, that region, for those of you in the United States that aren't sure where that is. Now, it's a city of about 850,000 people, and it has a huge problem, and it has for many years, with vast corruption and vast government overreach, and on top of that, huge drug problems, huge police brutality problems, lots of taxes, lots of regulations, and overall just a lot of gang violence and stuff like that. It always seems like the places with more government always have the most crime, and the areas with the most police in them happen to have more crime. And on top of that, there is always the worst roads you'll find anywhere in Canada, I believe, to be in Winnipeg, Canada. I was in Mauritania, Africa, a third world country, and the roads were legitimately better. But again, that has a lot to do with government overreach, and I'll get into that in a moment. But first, I want to talk about this. Now, this is absolutely craziness. This is an article from a little while ago out of CTV News, which says, Counselor questions the future of drive-thrus in Winnipeg. And as it goes into, a Winnipeg City Councillor is gauging residents' interests on the idea of rolling back drive-thrus in the city. Transcona councillor Sean Nason tweeted out to Winnipeggers Wednesday asking for thoughts about the idea of rolling back on the drive-thru lifestyle because a Halifax City Committee is looking into banning new drive-thrus. And I quote, "Sometimes these things have a life of their own and end up on the agenda of our city," Nason said. The idea drew mixed reactions from locals. You think? Oh my God. Anyway, as it continues, it says, and I quote, "I can quickly drive in, get my coffee, and be gone. I don't have to try and find a parking spot running in," Jordan Summers says, as if that's like the biggest reason outside of it. This is just so crazy. It's so stupid. Anyway, carrying on, it says, and I quote, "I used to work construction and we're always in a rush and always take the drive-thru. It's just a matter of convenience," Adrian McMorris said. And I quote, "It's not that inconvenient to step inside and get whatever. It's a pretty minimal change you'd have to make to your day-to-day life," Bryce Creasy said, who thinks drive-thrus are bad for the environment. This Bryce guy obviously being a government-loving status slave who has Stockholm Syndrome. I mean, it's easy to do this. It's not that hard to do this. You know, government being the biggest polluter in the world might play into this a bit. And them having the gall to tell people they can't go through a drive-thru? Ridiculous. Always speaking down to the peasants, right? Carrying on, it says, Christina Hunter, an instructor for the University of Manitoba's Environmental Science and Studies Department, said a rollback would bring benefits to the environment and the emission reduction would be substantial. What's substantial? When already it's a very small amount of pollution produced by Canada or the United States versus most places in the world, then what's substantial? Like nothing? It's almost laughable if it weren't so infuriating and sad at the same time. And I quote, as it says, "We really are trying to get folks to idle less in all kinds of environments, like picking and dropping off, and certainly drive-thrus is another place where we're idling," Hunter said. Nason said he has no plans to bring the idea forward to council members, but anticipates it could be a potential item in the future. People laughed years ago when they said they'd be banning straws, and now they're actually doing that, and the carbon taxing air, that's ridiculous. Well, now they do that, and again, government being the biggest polluter in the world, and it's doing this. It's sickening. Government is organized crime, folks. But they're talking about resources. How about these resources? Are you hurting the environment or hurting jobs or affecting people's wallets by doing this? Like, City of Winnipeg suspends 3 employees accused of slacking on the job. As it says, 3 city building inspectors have been suspended without pay and 3 others have quit as the City of Winnipeg continues to investigate allegations that some employees were slacking off at work. The suspensions come after the city agreed to pay $18,000 for private surveillance video allegedly showing city employees running personal errands, shopping, and even working out at the gym during paid hours. If this is what the government polices itself over, imagine what you're not finding out about. As it continues, and I quote, "We want to make sure people are being held accountable," said Mayor Brian Bowman. What do you actually do, Bowman, other than go in front of cameras with your nice hair every now and then and say, "Wow, this is bad. I disagree. I don't like this at all." It's so ridiculous. Carrying on, it says, as you can see here, photo of Winnipeg first responders with man on a bench sparks criticism. And this photo basically shows the Winnipeg police. I'll try to zoom in a little bit into this photo here. And first responders posing with thumbs up as a man, passed out person, probably on meth or something, leans on his shoulders. And they're taking a picture, selfie. Haha, very funny. Meth epidemic. Hilarious. Hilarious, Winnipeg police. Well done. Outside of extorting people for parking tickets and making people's lives miserable, and showing up late to crimes to shoot people's family dog. You're doing great taking pictures of the most disabled and mentally handicapped and most, I guess, impoverished and sick people on the streets of Winnipeg. Well done. Well, I mean, speaking of the Winnipeg police, check out this video. Again, talking about wasting resources. Here's a cop going through a stop sign. Coming up. You'll see it in a moment. Let's just not pay any attention to public safety. There's a person standing there, and let's just smash into people without looking. Maybe it'll be like the cop in the States that smashed into someone and ended up arresting them to cover their butts later on, only for them to find out that there's video of what happened from someone's porch. Anyway, I thought this video was the same as the one I saw before, but no, this is another video, again, of police going through stop signs because, they're above the law because they have shiny, magical badges that the government grants them power with by writing ink on paper. All while wasting people's time by throwing people in jail for cannabis. While it's legal, they're still cracking down on people who dare to try and make a profit off of it on the free market and, try to break out of the government crap system where they tax and regulate everything to death and monopolize major LPs and destroy the market, causing the price to go up and causing it to affect the most impoverished the most. But no, we need to ban drive-thrus, apparently. That's where priorities are. Look, this is a place that has been wrought with corruption for a long time. I'll never forget when I was a kid, I was walking through a parking lot. I had long hair at the time, and they were looking for a white guy with long hair that was around 5'7". And so, okay, that could be a lot of people. But they went up to me in a parking lot from behind, kicked me to the ground, stomped on my ribs, kicked me in the head, and beat me half to death. And then when they realized I was the wrong person, they're like, oops. They literally said, oops, and then just walked away and left me there. I was 14 years old. And another case that happened was, I remember I was accused of stealing something. I was selling things when I was like 15 to make money so I could give to my mother at the time. Didn't have much money, was raising a young sister, all that kind of stuff at the time. And I was just doing whatever I could to try and make money. And there's a black market because it's not tax regulated. Anyway, the point is, cops chased me down. I didn't steal anything, but cops chased me down, tackled me to the ground, and stuck a gun that was loaded with a bullet in the chamber right to my eye, and I'll never forget looking down that chamber. Now, later on, I confronted politicians, a lot of them in Manitoba and through Winnipeg as well. Mayors, I went after the Premier, Greg Selinger, who was involved in what I saw as obvious money going to offshore accounts while children were being taken away from their families in mass. I think 80% being diagnosed with some kind of mental illness, so then they could prescribe them these drugs, and I believe pharmaceutical companies were involved in that. I spoke with whistleblowers, and I tried to expose that through the CFS system and all that kind of stuff, CPS in the States. Horrible stuff. This guy, NDP, Socialist Party, whatever, and he was in power for a long time. Well, the NDP government was since, I think, 1997 until, I believe, don't quote me on this, I think 2015. And they were replaced by Brian Pallister of the Conservative Party. And the Conservative Party ended up raising taxes overall 18% when you account for everything, while cutting like things that were unpopular, like ambulances and stuff like that. So again, this is just another tale of government overreach and the insanity of this all-knowing, all-powerful entity we call government that is basically organized crime. The only thing that differs it from organized crime is it has cheerleaders that keep saying, since ancient Greece, well, maybe the next guy will be the change we wish to see. Change, change, we can believe in over and over again, one campaign after another. This guy sucks, this guy's better. Oh, wait, no, that guy sucks, this guy's better, nice hair, etc. And it's gone on forever. And it's very sad to watch because it's like, guys, you don't need government to solve the problems of government. The government isn't going to solve that. They are criminal entities. Them investigating themselves is ridiculous as well. This notion that they can police themselves. That's like saying, oh, you're accused of mass murder, so now go and investigate this mass murder and see what your findings are. If you're guilty, you're in jail for the rest of your life. If you're not guilty, you go free. So go and find that out. It's crazy. It's horrible. And there's a huge problem in that city. There's a huge meth epidemic. There's a missing and murdered women epidemic where Native American women are just disappearing in mass, many of them through the CFS system after government stole them from their families. And then you have this issue where, I mean, there were police officers that were running drugs not that long ago as well. And we all know the stories of the Contra CIA running guns and drugs and everything into cartel territory, out of cartel territory, into the United States, etc. Taking heroin from Afghanistan and bringing it to Canada and the United States as well. Huge problems. And then they have the balls to say that they have the moral high ground over top of the populace, that they enslave and extort in order to perpetuate their system of enslavement. It's horrible. And it perpetuates as long as people keep looking at other politicians or other people to vote for as a solution. You are the change you wish to see. You are the person that can change all of this, not the government. The government isn't going to save you from the problems the government created in the first place. They're corrupt. They are an organized crime racket. They only function off of the extortion of the masses and the dependence of the masses. And the more stupid and dependent the people are, the more power they have over them and the more they benefit. So what do you think is going to happen there? So I just wanted to go into this story a little bit with you guys because I think it's important. It's not enough people are talking about Winnipeg, and I'm from Winnipeg, and I feel like it's important to talk about this because I've seen a lot of people suffer. I've seen a lot of people die. I've seen a lot of people unjustly get extorted. I've seen a lot of people get beaten by the police there. I've seen one problem after another, and countless corrupt politicians, extortionists, and liars, and thieves, and all sorts of terrible people. They hide under the shadow of the legislative building temple in Manitoba as if their government status is going to save them from their inevitable fate. Extorting homeless, extorting the most vulnerable, causing all these problems, laughing as people suffer. It's a form of greed, and it's a form of... It's really psychotic. I mean, you have to be kind of psychotic to run for office in the first place, to say that I have the right over every other person and I have the moral high ground and I know what's right for everyone. I'm going to rule over them. 51% over the 49%. Collectivism for the greater good of the greater number. That old mantra over and over again. Left, right, doesn't matter. Collectivism is a cancerous cult of emotional irrationality. It always has been, it always will be, and it's under the guise of helping people. And meanwhile, it's basically them coming in as a solution to the problems they caused in the first place, causing more problems. Perpetuate forever. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here at WAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we're so heavily demonetized and censored and shadow banned. It's getting really bad, folks. If everyone just gave $1 single a month to, say, Patreon or our Subscribestar, where we do subscriber-only content, we could really get out of this rut that we are currently in as YouTube tries to stifle independent media and prop up the mainstream media. This is really important. This is one of the most important times in independent media history for us to say it's now or never. Let's keep moving forward and let's be that change that we wish to see in the world. Of course, there's also our Bitcoin address below as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And of course, we got events coming up. So make sure to check us out at anarchovegas.com. Anarchovegas.com. Use promo code WAM, that's WAM, for a 10% discount on your tickets. It's on July 19th, 20th, and 21st in, of course, Las Vegas, Nevada. That's anarchovegas.com. Make sure to check us out there and find us on websites like BitTube and Minds, and just try to support independent media, if not myself, any of the other big independent medias out there, to help us continuously bring our message to you free of charge so that we can really change the guard as we move forward into a dramatically polarized, crazy future. Let's try to make it as sustainable as possible. It comes down to you guys. You are the change you wish to see. You guys will help us get through these tough times. So anyway, check out all those links. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.
Bye.